Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our Clienteling 101 series. I'm your host, Alexis Doolin. I'm a Customer Success Manager here at BSPK. Today's topic is going to be what is clienteling and why is it important right now? So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Jeff. Jeff is the Vice President of Business Development and Sales here in the Americas at BSPK. Prior to joining BSPK, Jeff has been a senior leader in the luxury goods industry. He's worked with brands such as Hermes, Gucci, and most recently, Tiffany. So welcome, Jeff. We are very excited about our conversation today, and we look forward to answering any questions that you guys may have. But we would ask to please keep yourself on mute and go ahead and drop any questions in the chat. And at the end, we're going to have time to go over them. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to Jeff.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Alexis, and thank you all for joining us this morning. It's really a pleasure to have you all here. We wanted to start things off by asking all of you what clienteling means to you. How would you define clienteling? You can go ahead and just drop it into the chat. We can start our conversation off that way. Great. Texting clients, absolutely, definitely. Spreadsheets to keep track of people. Well, it's a way to manage your clients, but yeah, it definitely. Any other answers? Building relationships with clients, absolutely. Great, all great answers. All right, why don't we move to the next slide, Alexis? So clienteling is, the way I view it, is that it's an intentional action taken, an intentional behavior to further a relationship with a client. It could be sales driven, reaching out to a client about product, or it could be reaching out to further that relationship with the client, just making small talk and communicating about a client's hobbies or special dates. Whether it's qualitative or quantitative, anything that you do to further that relationship and build that relationship with the client is clienteling. There's lots of different mediums of communication, right? So you can text clients, call them, written correspondence, messaging services. Any way that you communicate with your client that helps to further the relationship is clienteling.
All right. Thanks, Jeff, for that introduction to clienteling. So can you tell us why clienteling is so important right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great question. There's quarterly reports coming out from a lot of different brands at the moment. And, some brands like Chanel and Hermes and LVMH, they're doing great, huge double-digit increases. There's other brands that are really struggling at the moment. And there's a lot of brands that are somewhere in between. I think wherever your business is, clienteling is paramount because clients today really value authentic communication. They want to do business with brands that are socially responsible, brands that they feel connected to. And, I speak from my own personal experience during the shelter in place, in 2020. It really taught me the value of human connection. And it made me realize how much that I value the connections that I have with people. And I think now more than ever, clients are so savvy. They come into the store and they've done their research. Sometimes they even know more than we do, right? There's clients that have been shopping with brands for many, many years, and they do lots of research and participate in messaging boards online and talk to other clients. So clients are highly educated these days, and they have more options than they ever have. So I think for brands, being able to build those connections, for salespeople, being able to build those authentic connections with clients is absolutely paramount to how they move forward.
I think it's safe to say too that clienteling is great for any size brand as well.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
All right. So can you tell us the difference between customer service and clienteling?
Yeah, of course. I think they both go hand in hand. Customer service, I would say, is kind of a little bit more passive, whereas clienteling is more proactive. When a client comes into the store, that first introduction that you have, it's going to be so important to make a great first impression with excellent customer service. And during that interaction, that's the time where you get to learn about your client and set the groundwork for your clienteling. So you're going to want to ask all of those important questions, go through the discovery process of learning, well, who are they? What line of work are they in? What sort of hobbies do they have? I think there's a tendency when clients come into the store, some client advisors will ask, well, how can I help you? What brings you in today? And, those are very basic questions. And I think if you ask basic questions, you're going to get basic answers. When you ask elevated questions, you get elevated answers that you can use to set the groundwork for clienteling. So customer service is what happens in the store. Clienteling is what happens after they've left. So, now I've had a great experience with the client. I've made them feel special. I've done everything to meet their needs, and I've asked all the right questions to get to know them. Now I need to take all of that information, plug it into my clienteling tool so that I don't forget, and then I can use that information to follow up with them. So if I know their special dates, I can reach out to them and say, hey, Alexis, I know your anniversary is coming up next month. I would love to invite you into the store for a glass of champagne. Or if I know that maybe your husband's birthday is coming up, why don't you come in a few weeks before, and we can do some shopping together. I actually have some ideas that I think would be great for him. So they really go hand in hand. I don't think you can really have one without the other. They're both equally important, but I think there's definitely some clear differences between them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, adding clienteling as well as already having great customer service is really going to help you take your relationships with your customers to the next level.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Great. Okay, well, I feel like we're all familiar with the word CRM. So can you tell us if CRM and clienteling is the same thing?
So, I would say this is probably the biggest question that I get when I have calls with brands. Some brands are very savvy with clienteling. Others, it's a little bit of a new concept. So we do tend to spend a lot of time talking about this. So, I kind of like to refer to CRM and clienteling. It's like comparing apples to oranges. They're both fruit, but they do kind of different things. So CRM is, essentially a repository of information. It's a database where information is stored. For omni-channel brands, it's going to have information about the client journey throughout, the e-commerce experience, their store experience. It's going to store information about marketing campaigns, as well as all of the things that you would expect to find on a client profile, contact information, birthdays, things of that nature. But what a CRM platform does not do is it does not proactively outreach to clients. There's no action that's taken through the CRM platform. Also, CRM platforms tend to be very customized and specific to different businesses. So if a business says, I have Salesforce, I have HubSpot, it's probably, one brand, the way that they have it set up is probably much different than the way another brand is set up. Now, a clienteling platform, on the other hand, it has some crossover in terms of functionality with CRM, but the purpose of a clienteling platform is really to take all of that information that you have and to digest it in a way that's easy to understand, so that when the client advisor comes to work and they pull up their phone and they look at their clients for the day or their tasks for the day, they can see, okay, great. I have these people that I need to send a thank you note to. I have these people with upcoming birthdays that I need to contact. These are all of my lapsed clients that haven't shopped with me in the past 6 months. So whatever the parameters are, whatever the goals are of the brand, it's actively showing you what you need to do, and then the outreach is carried out through that platform. Now, in the calls that I've had with brands, I've found that many large brands, they have both a CRM platform and a clienteling platform. I think for a lot of the smaller brands, they choose to just adopt a clienteling platform. But again, what direction you decide to go really just depends on your strategic objectives. what you're trying to measure, what goals you're trying to achieve. But I think a clienteling platform, whether you have CRM or not, is absolutely vital to driving your business. And from the client advisor side, you can probably manage 5, maybe 10 clients in your head, but once you move past that and you're juggling 100 clients, 200 clients, you really need a system to manage those people, because otherwise you're going to have a lot of forgotten opportunities, missed opportunities.
Yeah. I think you could also say too, clienteling, yes, it's a platform, but it's also the actions you're taking either with that platform or outside of that platform to actually get to know your customers as well.
Definitely. And without the people behind the tool, you could have the most amazing tool in the world. And there's some really advanced clienteling tools out there, but without the people behind it, performing the right behaviors, taking the time to use it to its full potential, it's just a piece of software.
Exactly. Right, well, speaking of people, we're all busy people. So can you tell us about the time commitment of clienteling?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's really going to vary depending on the brand. I've had the privilege of managing, several different kinds of luxury businesses. There's some where, traffic can be quite slow and there's a lot of time, a big interval of time between the next client. There's other brands where it's extremely fast paced and, time is, can be a challenge. We like, at BSPK, when we speak with brands, we like to recommend that client advisors take at least 30 minutes a day. But as with anything that you do, the more time, the more effort that you devote to it, the better results that you're going to achieve. I think one of the advantages of a lot of modern clienteling platforms is that there's a trend moving towards mobile devices. And the advantage of using a clienteling tool on a mobile device is that it's not going to impact floor coverage. So I can be on the sales floor, I can be doing my clienteling on the sales floor. And then if a client walks in, it's very easy for me to just put that phone away and I can help the client in front of me. And then as soon as they leave, I can get back to whatever I'm doing. Again, I think at least 30 minutes a day to really have a profound impact. But the more time that you can devote to it, I think the better results that you're going to achieve.
Yeah. And like you said, it's going to be different for every brand. And as you adopt clienteling practices, you're going to learn what's working for you and what's working for your customer.
Absolutely. And, and it's really all trial and error. You're going to try some things that are going to work really well. Other things aren't going to work so well, and that's okay. You just learn from it and move forward.
Absolutely. Okay, well, every time we implement something new, all brands want to see growth. So can clienteling be tied to sales growth?
Absolutely, definitely. You think about, how many clients that you assist as a client advisor in a year. Could be in the high hundreds, could be thousands, could be tens of thousands, depending on, how high a traffic of store that you work for. But think about all of those potential missed opportunities, all of those people who, bought something and maybe you didn't follow up with them promptly, or, you forgot about them altogether. If you have a tool that helps you to manage all of those clients, manage all of those people, you're never going to forget a birthday. You're never going to forget an anniversary. You're never going to forget to send a thank you note. And you're never going to forget to follow up when there's a complimentary product that comes in that your client may like. So when you have something that's like that, that's so powerful, that allows you to really segment and manage that information and put it into a way that's easy to understand and easy to digest, absolutely you're going to experience sales growth. Now, I think that growth is going to vary exponentially depending on what vertical within the luxury goods sector we're talking about, the size of the store, the size of the brand. But I think if you implement a clienteling strategy and it's done the right way and it's done consistently, it's absolutely going to result in sales growth.
Yeah, and kind of tying that back to our last question, growth is going to depend too on the effort that you're putting in. So that time commitment, you'll see growth based on your effort and what you can do.
Absolutely, definitely.
Great. Well, Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about some clienteling best practices, maybe ones that you've experienced?
Yeah, I would say for me, I would recommend three things. I like to keep everything simple, right? So I think anytime you roll something out to your team, something new, they need to understand what the benefit is to them, right? What's the purpose of this and how does this benefit me? So the three best practices that I would recommend are speak about it often. If I would recommend during your morning meeting with your team, talk about clienteling every single day. Make it a daily topic, regardless of what you're speaking about during your morning meeting. Always make the time to speak about clienteling. I would recommend to celebrate successes. If somebody on your team has a really great success with clienteling, it could be something quantitative, like maybe selling, a large amount of units in a sale, a large, value during that transaction, or it could be qualitative. Maybe somebody, you just provided an incredible experience to somebody for their special occasion, and they were so happy, and felt the need to share it with the store management. Whether it's qualitative or quantitative, find things to celebrate, because everybody loves to be recognized for a job well done and for their achievements. And if you can find a way to celebrate and make people feel good about themselves, more people are going to get behind it, because they're going to want to be recognized for their hard work. And lastly, the third thing, ask questions, ask for feedback. You don't want to be doing all the talking. You also want to ask questions and feedback from your team. How is this working for you? What challenges are you having? If you have somebody who's doing really well, find out for them what they're doing that's leading to that success. And on the other end of the spectrum, if there's somebody who maybe is a little bit more challenged with clienteling, find out why they feel they're challenged, so that you can help them together to find out figure out a solution and move forward. So those would be my three things: speak often, celebrate successes, and ask questions.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And, like we mentioned, as you implement clienteling practices, you're going to find out what works best for you. So.
Indeed.
Great.
Well, now I'd like to open it up to all of you. If anybody has any questions for us, you can feel free to just drop it in the chat. Give a few minutes for everybody to type. How can we learn more about BSPK? It's a great question. If you'd like to learn more about BSPK and the solution that we provide, you can definitely send me a message on LinkedIn, or you can visit our website, bspk.com. We have lots of resources on there, both about our company and the tool that we make, as well as clienteling in general. We have a great clienteling resource page with articles about clienteling and advice from industry professionals. So you can learn all about clienteling and BSPK. And if there's any interest in speaking to us about the service that we provide, you can definitely schedule a demo with somebody on our team. Can you do clienteling from anywhere? Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of many of the modern clienteling tools, is that they are mobile based. So you could really do clienteling from anywhere. You can be on the sales floor, you can be in the back of house, you can be at the grocery store. Really anywhere that you have your mobile phone, you can do clienteling. I think with some of the more antiquated clienteling tools of the past, they were desktop based on a computer, a little bit clunky, but they've definitely been streamlined, and most modern clienteling platforms are going to give you that flexibility to clientele from anywhere. We have BSPK app in Yoshi Yamamoto, and we're very happy with that. Easy to use it. Oh, I'm really great to hear that. Yoshi Yamamoto is a great client of ours, a legendary brand, and we're very honored to have the opportunity to be working with you. So glad to hear that. Thank you, Eugenia. And last question here, will we be talking about other topics? Great question that leads us into our next live event. On Tuesday, August 8th, we're going to be having a discussion about crafting your clienteling strategy. So we hope to see you there and look forward to speaking about this topic. Feel free to invite friends, coworkers, the more the merrier. So I really hope that you enjoyed our chat today. It was really a pleasure to have you here. And I really hope that you can join us on our next event on August 8th.
Hey, thank you, everybody. I just wanted to lastly say thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend our first webinar in our Clienteling 101 series. Go ahead and look for a link for a recording of this video in the LinkedIn group, as well as the registration for the next event on August 8th. And I will also drop some links to some other clienteling resources in there. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.